Good morning everybody and welcome back to Meister Tarot. Back on my kitchen table or my dining room table again today. Still cool, so got the long sleeves on. But yes, welcome. Welcome to my viewers, welcome to my subscribers. Much appreciate and thank you for joining me on this, well, I was going to say glorious summer's morning, but it's not particularly glorious. It's a bit cloudy and overcast, but the sun is trying to come through, and any morning that we engage with spirit is a wonderful morning. So tossing up what to do this morning. There's two readings that I want to get done in the next few days. One about the overall energies for the world in the next 12 months, but I also want to have a look at the next 4 months worth of, well, the next 3 months worth of weather going into spring. Now, as I said that, the Eight of Wands has leapt out at me, and it's telling me that that's the message that I need to have a look at. So, the weather. For those that believe the science and are well read, will know that we are in the early-ish, well, we're not really, we're in the middle stages of being affected by man-made climate change. The UN have released a report. The COP26 was fairly intense. Great disappointment in our own government at their lack of action, but there are changes afoot. So I think we're all aware, on a world stage, walking a tightrope, difficult decisions and choices to be made in the near future in regards to action that is taken. But I believe recently, again getting the chill up the legs, thank you Meister, protect us with your light and guide us with your messages. Thank you. Secrets to be revealed. Europe have, in the last few months, have had what's considered 1 in 400 year floods, but they're happening more regularly than once in 400 years. We're having a very cold summer so far in Australia under the effects of La Nina, but La Nina seems to be more, if I say severe this year, it's not that we've had severe weather. There has been quite extensive flooding inland of eastern Australia so far this summer, late spring, early summer. I gather in the US you have quite a warm winter, and on the east coast of the US are currently undergoing what they call low snow, no snow seasons, which are historically very rare but are happening with increasing regularity. And what that means is that there is no spring runoff. The snows are not falling in the US, so there is no spring runoff for irrigation consumption and the natural environment. And I gather Europe's fairly cold. Now that is what science did predict. It's not global warming. The average temperature of the globe itself, the Earth, is warming, but it does mean that the European side of the North Pole Antarctic winds and currents is colder, and the Americas side is warmer and drier. So it's all about change. So I just want to have a quick look. I'll go through the, I'll divide the planet into 3, so we'll deal with the Americas, North, South, Canada, US, then we'll move on to Europe, and then I'll do the Asian, Australasian area. So, please tell me about weather for the next, into the spring, for the next few months into spring, for US and Canada. US and Canada weather, what we need to be aware of with the weather going into spring. The weather next 3 months from December, January, February, March. Thrown out, okay, new beginning, time of change, but also this is a fire card. So it is telling me that it's going to be warm. Bring this down. Warm fires. Unseasonal fires for some reason I'm getting. Okay. Crossed by the Six of Wands, which is success. Interesting card. Okay. But again, a fire card. Base, Ace of Cups, a new emotional beginning. This is the US. In the past, disappointment and loss. So we'll leave that slightly. Crowning, financial loss, heartbreak, near future, choices to be made, external influences, again, loss of logic, disappointment, loss again, difficult decisions to be, internal influences, difficult decisions to be made, hopes and fears, Ten of Swords, which is, don't know, well, that's a fear that there will be betrayal, stabbed in the back, downfall, but what's happening here is that the birds are actually flying away. The crows themselves are flying away, and she's standing on quite a dry looking landscape. The Magician, manipulation, oh gosh, okay, manipulation of seedy underbelly, untruths coming to the surface. The sun, full illumination. Okay. So what I'm seeing in this is that with these two new starts, there's a realization, and with the fire and crossed by success, with the fire, there is a realization that climate change is real, because people are going to be suffering or have suffered quite severe losses. You've got your crowning is that, and it's not just, it's more a monetary loss and heartbreak and despair as with this dryness, with the fires, difficult decisions that are going to have to be made in regards to the relationship. Now I'm drawn to this red in the background. But yeah, choices to be made. Barren landscape, the birds are leaving. And this is due to the manipulation of the untruths that will be illuminated. So that doesn't sort of tell me so much about the weather. It tells me about the deception in regards to climate change that has been played out infighting. On a governmental and big corporation level, not so covering up of the truths, but I am drawn to the fire cards there, the barren landscapes in the hopes and fears, the birds flying away, the loss, despair, monetary loss, So I think what's going to happen is, rather than the weather itself, which I was hoping this would be a reading on, the weather itself, is that the weather in the North Americas is going to result in can't miss it, basically. Oh, introspection at the base there. Basically going to end up in a Mother Nature has a habit of giving us a tap with a feather. If that's ignored, hit us over the head with a brick, which is what we've just been through. And if we ignore that, she'll run us over with a Mack truck. So what is happening with the weather is there's going to be realisation and heartbreak of what is actually happening, but we can't ignore it anymore, and the untruths that we have been deceived with are going to be exposed. So that's interesting. Wasn't what I was actually after, but please tell me, the cards will tell me what you need to know. And now I'll move on to Europe. Please tell me what the weather is going to be like in the next 4 months with Europe. What's the weather going to be like for the next 4 months in Europe? What weather situations do we need to be aware of? What weather patterns do we need to be aware of? I'm being told very clearly to be prepared. Please tell me. The reading I did on Russia the other day showed freezing, extreme cold with Russia, which is nothing new for Russia, but it was just going to be incredibly horrific for the ordinary person. But please tell me, the Scandinavians, Middle Europe, the UK, tell me what we need to know about the weather in the next few months leading over winter and into spring. Tell me about the weather. Tell me what we need to know about the weather. Tell me what we need to know about the weather. Okay. Going back to the past. Crossed by a harsh reality. Sorry, lift that slightly. A harsh truth. Base, Star of Hope. Past, Page of Pentacles, which is think big and work hard, but this is in the past. Page of Wands, okay, a couple of pages. So these are bringing us messages that we need to be aware of. So this is a message of finances, but the Page of Wands is about ideas of plenty, skilled orator. There will be an important message that you need to be aware of. The Tower, near future. Lightning, destruction. Okay. This is the weather in Europe. Loss is the external influences, internal influences. Okay, so there will be a strong diplomatic figure, a mentor figure coming forward, emotionally balanced and calm, soothing. When faced with this loss, doesn't necessarily have to be a male. Hopes and fears. So we've got the two, the King and the Queen of Cups. So she is a figure of compassion and security. So this is the hopes, intuition, she has something that will be revealed out of her cup. And the eventual outcome, Six of Wands, which is, again, the success card. So it will be okay. There will be a need for help financially, emotionally, and there will be periods where I'm getting closed down, trapped, forced to stay home, where basically it just shuts down and this is isolation and an inevitable event, but it's also a call to arms. Again, a realization that haven't been necessarily told the truth. But here's your Queen of Pentacles, so she is practical, she's financial security, she's nurturing, she's compassionate, she's calm. So not quite as dramatic as the US. Mother Earth makes an appearance with this is the time. But yeah, I'm getting some not so good moments with Europe, where there will be loss, where you will feel like you've been kept hostage, and cities will close down and you just have to stay at home. There will be help on its way, but there is still at the base of the Star of Hope. Now, the Star of Hope's also about a rebalancing, respite, what's the word I'm after? I know it's an R word. But it's about rebalancing and respite and all things positive. So, but yeah, Mother Earth is telling us we have to change. Okay, so that is Europe. So just as I said, there's a very clear voice telling me to be prepared for whatever eventuality. I'll have a quick look at the Australasia region. Now, when I was looking at the month of December, didn't pick up on the earthquake personally. It may have been me misreading the cards. There's an earthquake, not an earthquake, a volcano that has erupted in Indonesia. One loss of life, loss of property. I think what I did say is that there will be difficult times, and to be prepared. Quite interesting, the ring of volcanoes that are going off seem to be around the centre and slightly north of the equator. Previous years they've been up in the Iceland near the poles, but this year seems to be the Earth is rebalancing herself by expending energy in this middle zone. Okay. Please tell me about the weather for the next over summer. And now it's summer for us in the bottom half here, Australasian region. Tell us about. I've heard that it's extremely muggy in New Zealand. We've had cool and wet in Australia. But please, the archipelagos to the north of us, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, Solomons, all our neighbours, Vanuatu, the Samoas, Australia itself. Please tell me about the weather that we're going to. I kept having the Seven of Wands jumped out at me twice there. It means there's going to be some difficult challenges, some hurdles to climb. But tell me about the weather. Oh, flinging out at me again. Mother Earth. She's saying, take notice. The weather in the Australasian region. Okay, tell me. Okay, Ten of Wands, which can mean burdensome. I also find that it means forward movement and moving on. Packing your bags and moving on, and disappointment. Okay, see where they lead us. Okay, financial help is at the base of the pack, the Ace of Swords. So this is a realisation of the truth in the past. I think Australia had its over the head hammer moment with the bushfires, and now we've got floods. And we can't. Australia is often considered, because of we're a large continent surrounded by sea. We are considered the canary in the coal mine when it comes to climate change, along with other continents surrounded by sea like Iceland itself. So in this neck of the woods, including in the archipelagos to the north, I haven't been following the weather in New Zealand. I should. I've got family over there. But we've had our thump around the head with the sword, and we are, those of us that take notice, listen to the science, are in touch with reality in a lot of ways. We've had our moment of truth come forward. So let's see where else this goes. Crowning the reading, we've got our Queen of Pentacles, so she is our practical, compassionate leader providing security. There's nothing about our leaders in regards to that. Temperance, moderation. So we're going to have a moderate year this summer. It's not going to be stinking hot. It's not going to be freezing cold. We're just going to be moderate. The external influences are going back to our past. Internal influences is that we realise it is time for change. The wheel is turning. In this neck of the woods, hopes and fears is justice, which is also a rebalancing, but she's also about being aware of the consequences of actions and being true to our integrity. So that is the hope. We've actually got an election coming up this coming year. There will be anxiety in the region, moving through the murky swamp out of difficulty into calmer waters, and the messages will come forward very quickly. There will be something that will be revealed in this region. So it has been tough. A lot of the farmers in Australia, we had an extended drought until 2 years ago, which ended with the horrific bushfire season. We've then had fairly wet conditions, so last year the farmers managed to get quite bumper crops off, which, first time in 7-8 years for some of them. This year they were headed for bumper crops again, and then we've had this extensive flooding. So a lot of them haven't been able to get their produce off, and hence have lost their crops to the floods, to the water. It's just been quite horrific for them. So Australia, as I said, canary in the coal mine. We have realised the external influence was looking back on our past, and we are aware that we need to move on. Now, there is a certain element that base the packet choices. We've reached a choice where there is a harsh truth that needs to be seen, and oh gosh, 2 aces. New beginnings, both with our planning and our prosperity, which will lead to a prosperous future. So I think what's happened is that our governments have brought forward in Australia, and being the wealthiest country in the region, we're not the most populous, but we are the wealthiest. It's a bit like the United States influencing the world. Australia influences the direction Australia takes, influences the region. Both our governments have released transition plans in regards to renewables. One is more forward-thinking and progressive than the other. There is an element that is in denial in Australia still in regards to fossils, and what is springing to mind is to be very aware when you're engaging on social media that the US FBI recently did a study in regards to social media posts, and they found that around 90% of posts on Twitter, and I'm assuming it's fairly reflective on Facebook, although Facebook might be slightly lower, but about 90% of posts were either analytical bots, or there was a vast majority posted by a very small few who were in regards to were being paid to spread misinformation and lies, etc. So that was very interesting under lots of different names. So I just found that extremely interesting, and it did change my view when I'm reading what people are posting on social media, so please be aware of that. So that looks like the weather roundup. It looks like Europe's going to cop a bit. US is going to be fairly mild. I'll have a look later to see what their summer is going to be like. I'll do that early in the new year. Australia is also going to be fairly mild, but with what has happened in recent events, we are very aware of change that is required. Okay, sorry this video went for a bit long. Hope you paused in the middle and made yourself a second cuppa. So stay safe, as the European one said. Be prepared, and love to you all. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.